The 1950s were a tumultuous period when it comes to electric guitars. The release of the Fender Broadcaster at the beginning of the decade was a bombshell that blew up the market and introduced guitar players to a whole new world of possibilities. Gibson wanted to get their share as well and released the Les Paul in 1952. While players loved the smaller solid body guitars, there was also a hunkering for the bigger and warmer sounding hollow body guitars that the Gibson was known for at the time. The common problem with amplifying hollow body guitars was the feedback they would get on the stage. This is where Ted McCarty comes in. Ted McCarty was the president of Gibson during the golden age of electric guitar manufacturing. It's from 1950 to 1966 or something like that. Like Leo Fender, Ted McCarty couldn't play the guitar, but instead he spoke to as many guitarists as he could to find out what guitar players were looking for at the time. This is how he came up with the design of the semi-hollowbody guitar. He combined the bigger, warmer sound of the hollow body guitar with the convenience of the solid body guitar. By having a center block inside the hollow body, there was a big decrease in feedback on the stage, and it gave the semi-hollow guitar enormous flexibility. This is what Ted McCarty himself said about the invention of the ES335.
The idea for the 335 was primarily one I came up with to make a solid body guitar in sound, but looking like a regular acoustic guitar. And we never patented that. I patented some because I knew what Leo would do. So if I had a patent, he wouldn't dare. A lot of the others I never bothered with patenting. It costs money to patent a guitar shape or whatnot.
The guitar that Ted McCarty had in mind is lying here in front of me right now. So this is a 1959 ES335. It's not very often that we get to meet a Gibson guitar from the golden age of Gibson guitars, so 58 to 60. So we really wanted to dedicate a Benchtalk episode to this beautiful instrument. Apart from the innovative design, there's another part of this guitar that made the Gibson guitars of this period so sought after. Let's talk about pickups. Nowadays the word PAF gets thrown around on almost every forum and video on the internet, even on our channel. It's hard to imagine that there was a world before the humbucking guitar pickup. And we've got a man by the name of Seth Lover to thank for that.
Ted McCarthy just wanted me to build a new pickup, and I thought, well, why don't we get an improvement? Because every time you got a regular guitar near an amplifier, you had to twist yourself to get away from the hum.
The invention of the humbucker is an interesting story on its own. The humbucking coils were not all that new and were used quite often in amplifiers and microphones, even in Gibson amplifiers of the time. It was Seth Lover who had the insight to use these coils for a new electric guitar pickup. He applied a patent for this idea, which is why we call the humbucker of that period Patent Applied For, PAF. Coincidentally, Ray Butts over at Gretsch Guitar also invented their own humbucking guitar pickup almost at the same time. He called it the Full Fidelity, which we now know as the Filtertron pickup. Though Gibson applied for their patent 2 years before Gretsch, it was actually Gretsch who got their patent issued first, with Gibson following only 4 weeks later. So let's get back to this beautiful guitar in front of me right now and we'll walk through some of the specs. So we're looking at a laminated maple top and also back and sides. We have a Brazilian rosewood fingerboard. The top and the back are slightly arched as well. We have 22 frets with a 24 3/4 inch scale length. So this guitar has the long guard, as it is called, because after 1960 Gibson changed their pickguard design to a shorter design. We have the Tune-o-matic bridge with a stop bar and of course a really beautiful sunburst finish. This guitar is fully original, except for a slight lacquer touch-up on the back of the headstock, where the headstock meets the neck, but it's almost invisible. In the 1970s, most Gibsons were fitted with a volute on the back of the headstock, and someone tried to modernize this ES335 by putting a trendy volute on it. Late owners saw this for the mistake that it was and had it professionally repaired, with a slight lacquer overspray to hide this repair. When we at the fellowship receive a vintage guitar like this ES335, you can't help but wonder how a guitar like this ends up in a place like Dedemsvaart in the Netherlands. What kind of life did it lead? What stages has it been on? Which countries has it been played in? What we know about this ES335 is that it has spent a big part of its life in the beautiful country of Sweden. We found this to be quite common when it comes to vintage guitars, because Sweden was neutral in the Second World War and the Swedish people had quite a lot of purchasing power after the war. This meant that they had the possibility to import guitars like this, the new popular electric guitars from the United States, quite easily. Luckily, this guitar found its way to the Netherlands, which means now we have the privilege to play this guitar and adore it until someone decides to buy it, of course. That concludes our story of the 1959 ES335. I hope you enjoyed listening to this beautiful instrument and listening to me talk about the history of the ES335. If you have any more questions about this guitar, or maybe you're interested in purchasing it, please reach out to us and we'll gladly help you. So see you for the next episode of Benchtalk. Bye!
Adieu!
Adieu!